Sibilance, check, check. Maybe another 10 seconds. Yeah. Hi, I'm California Senator Dave Min, representing the 37th Senate District in the heart of Orange County. That includes my home city of Irvine, as well as surrounding cities like Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Costa Mesa, Tustin, Villa Park, Anaheim Hills, Orange, Lake Forest, Laguna Woods, and some others. I want to welcome you all to this very important seminar about how we can protect ourselves from scams. This is obviously a very intense and unfortunately far too common problem, particularly among seniors. The Federal Bureau of Investigation estimates that seniors nationwide lose more than $3 billion annually of their hard-earned savings to fraud. But you don't have to just be a senior citizen to benefit from the advice you'll hear today. I think folks of all ages really can benefit from the tips we'll hear. This issue is actually very, very important to me because my family's personal information was breached several times. We were victims of the Equifax breach, of the T-Mobile breach, and then UC, the University of California, had a major breach. And so I found out that my children and myself and my wife, all of our information was on the dark web. I get those alerts now periodically. Their social security numbers are out there, and that's something we'll have to deal with for the rest of our lives. That's one of the reasons I created the Select Committee on Cybersecurity and Identity Theft Prevention in the State Senate, to try to understand this issue better and look for ways that we could protect people from the more and more complex types of fraud that we see. Now, we're really fortunate to have a great panel of experts with us today. Our first presentation will be from Kevin Darawa, representing the Contractors State License Board. After that, we'll hear from Sally Kim Westlake, who will offer insights from the Department of Financial Projection and Innovation. And then finally, we'll hear from Jesse Hafen, on behalf of the California Department of Real Estate. All three of these panelists have great information, but I'm going to pass over first to Miguel Galarza, member of the Contractors State License Board, to help kick off these presentations. Thank you so much and have a great morning.
Thank you, Senator Min, and thank you, the public, for attending today, and Senator Min, obviously, for hosting this workshop. I've been on the Contractor State License Board now for nearly 2 years, and I am one of two B licensed contractors that represents the board. The CSLB and the board regulate over 300,000 contractors statewide. And of those 300,000 contractors, there are 45 different classifications that come under our control. CSLB registers also home improvement salespeople. Our mission at CSLB is to protect the California consumers by licensing and regulating the construction industry. As consumer protection and outreach is a priority for CSLB. CSLB recently supported AB 2471 that extends the right to cancel contracts for those over 65 years old from 3 business days to 5 business days for home improvement contracts. That law went into effect last year. CSLB is also proud to have sponsored McGuire SB 1189 by Senator McGuire. This legislation is provided to protect homeowners during construction-related rebuild projects. During this presentation, you will learn more about how you can protect yourself when contracting for a home improvement contract by not paying your contractor in advance for work performed. CSLB conducts several outreach events similar to this one, including senior scam stoppers and workshops for disaster survivors. Consumer scams involve unlicensed contractors that have continued to look for work during the pandemic. Many of our consumers, like yourselves, are looking for contractors as they look for new home improvement contracts, given that so many people have been working from home. CSLB recognizes the harm that unlicensed contractors pose to consumers. And I'm pleased to report that CSLB is continuing to work with local and county and state agencies across California to limit this unlicensed activity. It is very important to review and review the top 10 reasons when hiring a contractor. And the first and foremost is to get 3 bids. We want to stress to you to do your homework before you hire a contractor. An educated consumer is one of CSLB's greatest weapons against unlicensed predatory contracting activity. That involves, again, getting a minimum of 3 bids from licensed contractors, and most importantly, using the Find My Licensed Contractor tool on CSLB's website. This only takes seconds to check a contractor. So when one comes knocking on your door to solicit work, after you hear their name, the first thing you should be asking is what their license number is, and check it out at cslb.ca.gov. Consumers can do their part by reporting unlicensed activity to CSLB. It is important to report unlicensed activity by helping licensed contractors level the playing field so that they do not use bids to inexperienced and unlicensed and unqualified contractors. And again, it's important to confirm that any licensed contractor you consider hiring for home improvement contracts, that they be found in the website. Do your part. Follow the 10 tips to hiring a contractor, and make sure that you review this on the website, as there is a home improvement brochure for your availability on the website. And with that, I look forward to a fantastic webinar, and back to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Board Member Galarza, and thank you all of us for, thanks to all of you for joining us today. I also want to thank Senator Min for partnering with us to make this possible. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. My name is Kevin Duraway from Contractor State License Board. And as Board Member Galarza was so nice to join us and share with us, today we're going to teach you how to become a more educated consumer and how you can protect yourself. An educated consumer is our best weapon against fraud among unlicensed individuals. So as Board Member Galarza mentioned, Contractor State License Board, we protect California consumers by licensing and regulating the state's construction industry. We license nearly 300,000 contractors in 45 different classifications. That's like fencing, concrete, so on and so forth. So why do unlicensed individuals target seniors? Well, seniors are often trusting, which makes them more vulnerable to scams. Unlicensed individuals will try to manipulate seniors and establish connections with them and take advantage of them. They might say, oh, your grandson goes to Laguna High School down the street. My neighbor's kid goes to Laguna High School and plays on the basketball team. They try to establish personal connections with you to make them seem more trustworthy. Unlicensed individuals also realize that seniors have life savings and pensions, which makes them a greater target for scams. Some of the biggest scams we see at Contractor State License Board involve unlicensed individuals asking for a large down payment. For any home improvement project in California, it's the law, the down payment must be no more than 10% or $1,000, whatever's less. I always like to share this story ripped from the national headlines because it really goes over some of the common scams we see. This involves a man in North Carolina who got 10 years for stealing $3 million worth of funds from seniors on a home repair scheme. The perpetrator in this case often asked them to leave the 2 lines of the checks empty, and later he'd go in and fill those lines in with his wife's name and later deposit those funds in her own account. One of the neighbors also wrote this perpetrator, whose name is Garcia, a check for a loan separate from home improvement work. He later went back to ask for another check, and the victim, who is a senior, their memory wasn't as great. They didn't remember that they had already written them a check, so they wrote Garcia another check. Court documents also found that Garcia didn't complete any of the work he was contracted to do, and prosecutors say that Garcia would form relationships with his victims, calling them mama or papa. Some other common scams we see at Contractor State License Board involve door-to-door sales and pressure tactics. You might get a knock on your door from someone saying, hey, today's your lucky day. I was in your neighborhood helping your neighbor with their front lawn, with their sod. I have extra sod on my truck and I can offer you a great deal today. I can redo all your front lawn for $100. If you hand me the cash right now, we can get it all done today. Well, here's the problem. You don't know if this individual is licensed. And if they're not licensed, chances are they're going to leave the work unfinished or not done properly. They may also just take your money and run, or leave the job unfinished, and you're going to have to pay again to get the job done correctly. Another common scam involves scare tactics. You might get a knock on your door, an individual offering a free home inspection. Sounds like a great deal, right? Well, all of a sudden, this unlicensed individual starts to find cracks in the wall, a leaky faucet, problems around your house that may or may not have existed at all. And then they'll offer to repair them for you at an exorbitant fee and pressure you to do so. They are most likely not licensed. Some other common scams we see involve verbal agreements. You always want to make sure you get a written contract before you start any home improvement project. The prices of materials, they can change during the job. That's why you want to get everything in writing. If changes to those materials come across, you need to put those in writing in the form of a change order, and it needs to be signed by yourself and the contractor. You also never want to pay in cash. Pay a contractor with a check and save a copy of your check in a project file. That way you won't forget that you paid the contractor for that project, something we talked about a little earlier. So what can you do if you've been scammed? Well, call CSLB and we'll get you a complaint form, 1-800-321-CSLB or 2752. You can also go to our website, cslb.ca.gov, and click the file a complaint button you see there on the screen. It's very important. Seniors age 65 and up have 4 years from the date of construction to file a complaint. And also, as Board Member Galarza mentioned, seniors now have a 5-day right to cancel a contract. That protects you from high pressure tactics and solicitors. Here's an example of how to file a complaint on the CSLB website. Just click that button and it'll take you to the form. So why should you use a licensed contractor? Well, all licensed contractors have passed law and trade exams. They've also undergone thorough background checks. CSLB licensed contractors are required to hold $15,000 contractor bonds, which is more consumer protection for you, and have workers' compensation insurance for all employees. Workers' compensation insurance is so important. It covers the workers' injuries while they're on the job, which protects you as homeowners. If your contractor doesn't have workers' compensation insurance, one of their employees gets hurt on the job, you, the consumer, may be liable for their injuries. So you want to make sure your contractor has workers' compensation insurance. So why else should you use a licensed contractor? Well, you get greater consumer protection. We've been talking about that. You also have more options. We can step in, CSLB can step in and help with negotiation, mediation, and arbitration. These are all services that are free to you, the consumer. And it's also important to note that the California law requires licensed contractors for any home improvement job that costs $500 or more. Nowadays, with the cost of materials so high, it's very easy to hit that mark, which you should always be trying to look for a licensed contractor. So how do you find a licensed contractor? Well, it's okay to ask your friends and family if they have recommendations. Just make sure you check the license once you get those recommendations. You can also get a list of local contractors in your area. We have a great tool on our website, cslb.ca.gov. You can also find my licensed contractor information by calling our call center at 1-800-321-2752. Here's an example of using the Find My Licensed Contractor feature. You just click on this button on our website, and you'll get a window that comes up next. You can simply just put in your city of residence or your zip code and choose from this drop-down menu what type of contractor you're looking for, whether it's concrete or landscaping or fencing, and you'll get a nice printable or downloadable list of names where you can start your research. You always want to make sure you protect yourself when you're dealing with a contractor. Get at least 3 bids in writing. Again, an important point that Board Member Galarza brought up. This gives you an idea of the marketplace. You don't want to take the first bid you get. You don't know what's out there. The prices of materials are different. Some contractors may have more materials on hand. Their prices may be lower than others. You also, when you're meeting these contractors, ask for their references and check their references. Also check the contractor's pocket license. It'll be a laminated card similar to this one, the size of a credit card. And you want to compare this pocket license to a picture ID like a driver's license. This confirms the contractor's identity. Unfortunately, a lot of unlicensed individuals like to steal contractors' license numbers, and they're not really licensed. So that's why we ask you to confirm their license with the pocket license. Again, the 3 bids, when you're getting those 3 bids, ask the contractors if they have employees. If they have employees, they need workers' compensation insurance. Don't ever feel pressured to make a decision. Let the contractor know you're just getting your 3 bids. And if you get an estimate from a contractor, you don't need to sign it. You don't need to sign any kind of estimate. It's not a contract. Speaking of contracts, you do want one, and you should know that only the contractor who holds a license or a registered home improvement salesperson can negotiate and sign a contract. Be careful if you're getting any kind of contract on an electronic device. Those can be edited after you sign them. You must be given a written copy of the contract that you've signed and the contractor has signed before work begins. The contract should also include something called the progress payment schedule. You never want to let the payments get ahead of the work. The progress payment schedule makes it so you only give the contractor half the money when half of the job is completed. That provides you leverage to keep the contractor honest that they finished the job and it's up to your standards. The contract should also include an identification of any subcontractors and material suppliers that the contractor is using, so you can make sure that they've been paid. The contract should also include start and finish dates and those change orders, which we talked about earlier, in writing. When the prices of those materials change, both yourself and the contractor should sign them. We get a lot of solar problems now at CSLB. We have a solar task force and a solar smart page on our website that you should definitely check before considering any solar project. We recently launched a solar complaint form to improve our response. You should remember when you're dealing with solar, you should ask yourself, is solar right for you? It really depends on how much longer you're going to be living in your current home. It also may depend the direction of your roof and any trees or power lines are covering your roof from the sun. That may impact how much solar really benefits you. You always want to do the math with solar. Look at your monthly utility statements. Find out how much the solar system is going to cost to put on your roof and install, and when are you going to start breaking even with your energy savings and actually start saving yourself money. It's very important to note that solar is not free, and you should use a lot of caution when dealing with any kind of financing programs involving PACE, HERO, Chief, or REAL loans. They often have high interest rates that are tied to your property taxes, which will make it more difficult for you to refinance or sell your home. Please protect yourself. Make sure you have control over your payments. Get everything in writing. When you're dealing with a solar project, the contractor should also give you something called the financing estimate and disclosure document. Usually it's the top page of the contract. Make sure you look over that carefully. It should spell out clearly how much this is going to cost you to install this solar system. And of course, with like any other contract, read the contract carefully, sit with it for 24 hours, read it over with a family or friend. Please remember to protect yourself. Hire licensed contractors using the Find My Licensed Contractor tool on our website, cslb.ca.gov. And always, if you're going to get those recommendations from friends and family, check the license using our instant license check on our website or by calling 1-800-321-CSLB or 2752. Please remember, the down payment should be no more than 10% or $1,000, whatever's less. And you never want to let the payments get ahead of the work. If you ever need to contact CSLB, give us a call, 1-800-321-CSLB or 2752. You can also email us, social@cslb.ca.gov. Thank you so much for your time today. I can already see questions in the chat. We'll be sure to get to all your questions at the end of the panel discussions today. For now, I'd like to hand it off to my colleague, Sally Westlake at the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. Thank you so much, guys. Sally, we can't hear you yet. I don't know if you're muted.
Sorry. Good?
Sound good.
Okay, and you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, your camera is off too.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Now I'm ready. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Senator Min and the Contractor State License Board for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Sally Westlake, and I'm the Outreach Specialist for the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, or DFPI for short. So today I'm going to share with you all about who we are, what we do, and how we can help. And more importantly, tell you about some of the financial scams out there so that you can protect yourself from fraud and not become the next victim. Stop, look, and think. Sound easy enough? Well, this is my mantra. And if you remember anything from my presentation today, remember that lady on the Zoom said, stop, look, and think before you click or tap on any link or attachment. Today's objective: learn how not to become a victim of fraud and scams, because the more you know, the more you're able to protect yourself from financial fraud. And I'll be available with the panel to answer any questions at the end. So the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation was also formerly the Department of Business Oversight. We protect consumers and foster trust by regulating companies and individuals offering financial products and services. As a state regulator, we license and regulate California banks and credit unions, money transmitters like Venmo, PayPal, Western Union, payday lenders, debt collectors, rent-to-own contracts, credit reporting agencies, and the list goes on. A full list is available on our website, but basically, if they're providing financial products and services to Californians, we likely regulate them. So what is our role? We enforce the laws and regulation to the industries that we regulate. We conduct audits to ensure state and federal compliance, investigate consumer complaints of financial abuse and fraud, and pursue legal actions against those operating illegally or using unlawful, deceptive, or abusive business practices. We foster innovation by encouraging the development of responsible financial tools that help all Californians thrive. Our goal of the outreach team is to increase awareness, so to protect consumers from predatory businesses that are engaging in deceptive practices, and to help protect consumers from falling prey to frauds and scams. We want to raise public awareness. As consumers become more accustomed to fraud threats, it's paramount that you're aware of how these crimes are executed and ways to detect them. Building awareness of the different types of scams, highlighting the reality of fraud and how you can fall victim to it, thereby reducing the risk of taking the bait. So we provide presentations, trainings in partnership with community-based organizations and legislative offices. Our topics can include a variety of financial topics, including fraud prevention and financial empowerment. Our team's focus is to inform the most vulnerable in our communities avoid scams and make choices that set them up for financial success. We also provide educational publications. It's available on our website, but we can also send you a hard copy for free if you prefer. And this is just one of the publications that we offer, and it's called Protect Yourself from Fraud. This booklet is designed to encourage Californians to check before you invest and provides information needed to stop financial investment fraud before it happens. The booklet is great to have on hand because it'll remind you of some of the scams that we'll be discussing today. And back of the booklet has a comprehensive resource guide with phone numbers and websites. Now, studies have shown that an informed and educated consumer is less likely to fall victim to financial and fraud. So there's so many scenarios created to scam and defraud consumers with the sole purpose of gaining access to your personal information and ultimately your money. You have to know that one of the reasons the scammers and fraudsters keep calling, texting, and more is because there are people out there that are still falling for these scams. Now, I've got a long list here of common scams, and this isn't a complete list, mind you, but I want to talk to you about the latest trending scams so that you don't become the next victim. How about the romance sweetheart scams? So more than ever, people are looking for relationships, and they're turning to dating apps and social media sites. While some are looking for a relationship, others see this trend as a way to scam people out of their money. Now, we all want to be in love, right? And the most recent report by the FBI said romance scams are on the rise, And last year, over 3,000 Californians fell victim to online romance scams, losing a total of nearly $184 million. The most vulnerable to fall victim to these romance scams? People over the age of 60. These scams take place mostly in dating apps, social media, or through other websites involving scammers forming fake romantic relationships with victims in order to manipulate them and take their money. Often these payments take place in the form of cryptocurrency or gift cards. So what can you do to protect yourself? Be careful what you post and make public online. Verify the person's photo and see if it's been used elsewhere online somewhere. Try a Google image search to see what comes up. Ask a lot of questions. Beware if the individual seems too perfect and quickly asks to communicate with you more directly or asks you to meet up in person, but they always come up with an excuse last minute why they can't actually meet you in person. Now, beware if the individual attempts to remove you from your friends and family. Beware if the individual requests inappropriate photos or financial information. And as a general rule, to avoid scams of any kind, never send money to anyone that you've only communicated with online or by phone. Now, the next trending fraud is affinity fraud, and it's on the rise again. Affinity fraud refers to investment scams that prey upon members of identifiable groups, such as religious or ethnic communities, the elderly, and even professional associations. The people who promote affinity scams frequently are or pretend to be a member of the association, and they often enlist respected community leaders to spread the word about the scheme, convincing them that a fraudulent investment is actually legitimate. Affinity scams usually involve real estate, but doesn't have to, and it usually ends up turning into a Ponzi scam. So how do you protect yourself? Research before investing. Research the company, the people before you invest. And if you have any questions about any financial institution or professional, please contact us first before sending any money. Smishing, text with links. Anyone else get these? This is text that say they're from a company that I might do business with, saying, thank you for making your payment, and here's a little gift for you. Don't do it. Don't click on it. I also get text messages that there's a delay with my delivery, so click on this link. Again, if I didn't sign up for texting option from this business, or I'm not even expecting a package, nope, I'm not going to click on that link. An example of a scam that's currently really popular right now is you get a fraud alert from your bank asking if you made a payment through Zelle. If you click no, then automatically you get a call, and the caller ID on your phone says, it could even say it's from your bank. So you would answer and quote, a Wells Fargo employee says that, hey, a thief was trying to empty your bank account using Zelle. To stop the transactions, the employee says, you would need to send the money back to yourself. Okay. In reality, in the background, the scammer was having the victim send the money to the scammer's account. And what does the bank say? Sorry, you thought you authorized a transfer, so they're not going to be able to reimburse you. So how do you do? So what do you do to protect yourself? Stop, look, and think. Utility company fraud. This usually involves a phone call. Someone from the gas company or Southern California Edison calls and says, hello, Mrs. Garcia, this is a courtesy call that your electricity payment is delinquent. And if a payment is not made today before 5 p.m., your electricity is going to be cut off. And of course, there's going to be a high $100 reconnection fee. And they ask you to maybe purchase gift cards, call them back at this number when you have the gift cards, or Western Union them the money. Remember, stop, look, and think. Are you late on your bill? Utility companies don't have time or the manpower to call all their delinquent customers. They're going to mail you a letter that on the envelope says late notice, but they're not going to call you. So if anyone calls and asks you to send them money via Western Union or by gift cards, and they give you the phone number, that's definitely a scam. Do not call them back at the number. they're asking you to call them back at. I don't care if the caller ID initially said Wells Fargo or Southern California Edison IRS. Instead, you're going to Google the correct number. You're going to look it up on your bank statement. Even if the number again on the caller ID says Edison, Social Security Administration, you do not call them back at the number. You're going to go to the source, being the official website, or again on your bank statement. Look up the real number so that you can ensure you know who's on the other end of that phone call. Okay, scammers can make any number they're calling from read as the government entity, the bank, IRS on that caller ID. So how about bogus copycat sites? When you're shopping online, please make sure that the website you go to is correct, legitimate site. And how do you check? Make sure you look at the address. And if it has a lock at the address you're looking at, okay, does it really say Amazon.com, C-O-M, and not Amazon.con.com? Or an example, PayPal.com or PayPay.com, P-A-Y-P-A-I. Just the one letter off can make a huge difference. And if you end up on the wrong site, like Senator Min mentioned, your identity, your email, your accounts can be hacked and be floating around the dark web. So again, look at the URL address at the top, and does it really say what it's supposed to say? Government imposter websites like bogus IRS sites. Okay, beware the following when using TurboTax and other sites to do your taxes. Make sure that the link you click on is the real site you wanted. These fake sites are intended to mirror the official IRS websites. Make sure you look at the address and the site is correct. And again, one letter off can be an imposter site. Caution and awareness are your best lines of defense against these criminals, says the IRS Commissioner Reddick. All right, let's move on. So during the stay-at-home orders, what did a lot of us have to do? Shop online. And we now use more and more digital methods to shop and pay for our purchases. So let's talk about cyber safety. What can we do to protect ourselves from becoming the next victim? Well, financial institutions spend millions of dollars in cybersecurity, and they have one of the most secure networks, and still companies get hacked. So knowing this, we have to do our share and protect our accounts and our money. Safeguard your PIN number. Please don't use the same PIN number for all your accounts or apps. If you lose your cell phone and you're only using one PIN number and that gets stolen, they can access and steal money through all the apps on your phone like Venmo, Zelle, your banking app, immediately, within minutes. And if you happen to lose your phone, do you know how to maybe remotely reset your phone to factory settings immediately? And that's going to help erase and remove your financial information from the phone. And if you don't know how to do this and you misplace your phone and you lose it, make sure you go to your local phone center and ask for help. And if you're using debit cards when you're shopping in person, please use the credit card option. Bypass the PIN number entry by hitting the green button or the enter button and let the charge go through as credit and not debit. The reason being, if there's a skimmer on that keypad, it's just another layer of protection for you. Okay, maybe they can steal your account number, but at least they won't have your PIN number so that they can transfer cash out of your account within minutes. Secured networks. Always, again, check to make sure that the address at the top of the website, the URL address, has an S after the HTTP, which indicates that it's a secured site, and then you can make sure that the lock is closed. So, and if you have to use free Wi-Fi, like at Starbucks, make sure to come off that Wi-Fi, turn it off, and close all your browsers. Do not do any banking or shopping when you're using these free Wi-Fi services. And if you absolutely have to, make sure again to log off, sign off, and not just hit the X in the corner, because that means you can leave your web browser history still open and you're making it susceptible to have your information being stolen. Two-step verification or multi-factor authentication, it's called. So after I enter my password, I have to wait for a text with a code sent to my email or phone number before I can actually log in. But again, this is for my safety, for your safety. So if you have the option to set up a two-step or multi-factor verification on any of your accounts, please do so. Again, it's another layer of protection for you and your account in case someone hacks into your email account or any one of the apps. And again, change your passwords often. Pick a day of the month, maybe the 15th of every month, and change all your passwords. And again, don't use the same password for all your accounts. Don't use any easy words. You want to use paraphrases or sentences. And you actually don't want to use information that's out there in social media about you as part of your password. Okay, so please think before you post out there on social media. Do your friends really need to know that you're going to Hawaii on June 3rd and you'll be back on June 21st, telling the world that no one's going to be home? Because it's an open invitation to thieves. I mean, do you know who, quote, all your friends are on Facebook? Okay, I heard about a senior that posted on social media. Her front door lock was broken and she was waiting for a locksmith. Well, sure enough, a thief broke into her house while she was home and robbed her. But thank goodness she wasn't hurt. Let me change my screen here. There we go. So you're asking yourself now, what can I do? Don't answer the phone from an unknown caller. Let them leave a message. And if it happens to be from a real friend or family, you can always call them back because they will understand. And if you happen to get on the phone with that unsolicited salesperson, hang up. Now, I know some of you guys are way too nice and you have a hard time hanging up on the phone call, but it's okay to say no thanks and hang up the phone. The reason they keep calling is because they know once they get you on the phone, they can keep you talking and get information from you eventually, because what they're going to do is build trust. And they know these scammers and know how to do this. They're experts. And before you know it, they're going to be calling you mom and pop, okay? Like Kevin said in one of his cases, and you might be sending them money. Verify that there is an issue. If you get a phone call or a text message from your bank claiming your account has been compromised, hang up and call back. Go to the source. Find your bank's phone number online or a statement, and you're calling the bank and not the scammer. Never give personal information to unsolicited callers. Regardless if your bank, cable provider, or utility company calls your home, never give your personal information to verify your identity. And again, if it doesn't seem right, hang up and call the company back at the number that you know is right. Again, go to the source. Again, be cautious of the link sent via text. The link could be a lookalike site mimicking the consumer's online banking portal. After you enter the login information, the scammers then have access to your account online. Make sure you check the URL address. Visit your bank's website from another source and not by clicking through the sent via text. Ignore instructions to text, stop, or no to prevent future text. This is a common ploy by scammers to confirm that they actually have a real active phone number. Check writers, if you currently still write checks, consider purchasing an anti-fraud pen to prevent check washing. These pens are available, nominal amount, on Amazon, Office Depot, and Staples, and they can help you prevent from losing hundreds of dollars to mail theft. And if you're a victim of identity theft, file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission. All right, so here are the 3 most recognizable credit bureaus, and remember, we regulate them. When's the last time you looked at your credit report? You can get a free credit report from the website, www.annualcreditreport.com. If you're done applying for credit, consider freezing your credit. You can contact each credit reporting agency by calling or going online. Just another layer, another way to protect yourself from fraud and especially identity theft. So I've given you a lot of information today. So what's the bottom line? Trust your instinct. If it seems too be good to be true, it probably is. Never give out your personal information unless you initiated the contact, and always go to the source yourself. So visit our website for more information. We have a toll-free number, our website. Feel free to file a complaint. Okay, because remember, you're vital to the department as our eyes and ears. And if you know of someone breaking the law, let us know. You can file a complaint online or start by calling us. Don't be afraid to contact us because we're here for you. For updates and information, please subscribe to our monthly newsletter. We provide consumer alerts on frauds and scams and help consumers stay in the loop with us. I'm going to wrap it up here with stop, look, and think before you click or tap. Now I'd like to turn it over to Department of Real Estate, Jesse.
Hi, my name is Jesse Hafen. I'm an investigator with the Department of Real Estate. And what we do is we're a regulatory agency and we license real estate agents, real estate brokers. And when they violate certain laws, we file cases against them to revoke licenses or suspend licenses. We can issue citations. There are a lot of different avenues that we can take when somebody's in trouble with us for doing something that required a license. When unlicensed people do things that require a license, we can issue desist and refrain orders. We can also issue citations to them. Our highest priority is consumer protection. So I'm going to go over some real estate scams and some things that you can avoid so that you won't feel like that you've been scammed. One thing that's always popular is timeshare related scams. They usually involve unlicensed people, sometimes people who have licenses. We don't know where they are most of the time. They're oftentimes outside of the United States. People wire their money outside the United States and it's gone. They start by telling you they have a buyer maybe for your timeshare, or a resort is buying back timeshares. It could be anything though to convince you to believe them. What they need from you, like most scams, is for you to pay the cost of something ahead of time. Processing fees, escrow fees, taxes. A lot of times it's taxes from another country. You have to pay some sort of transfer tax and your money is wired outside the country and it's gone. If you do send the money, they'll be back. They'll be back for more. And some timeshare scammers will tell you that they'll buy your timeshare if it doesn't work out, and you just have to pay some marketing costs, things like that. And they may in the end offer to buy your timeshare, but it's going to be literally for $10. And so it's best to say no right away. They use local addresses. They sometimes use Department of Real Estate licensee names, but they're not real. They're usually they're not associated with the timeshare company. They're PO boxes. I once had a timeshare company using the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Diego, and I walked over to the U.S. Attorney's Office and asked them, are you selling timeshares? And of course they weren't. So you can check addresses just on a Google search. Just go to Google Maps and you can see the location to see if it's a real place. So for timeshare scams, the first thing that I always think about, and what my advice to people is to think that they found you, you didn't find them, and they want your money. So again, they found you. If you're looking to sell something, they should be paying you money and not the other way around. So how do you protect yourself from them is you don't talk to them. You don't take their calls. But if you do, get their license number, their information, their address, check that online, call us and we can tell you, tell them they'll call you back, that you can call them back and don't. Again, you can call DRE, the Department of Real Estate, and ask us, and we'll look up people on the phone while you're with us and tell you if they're a real company or not, or if they have the correct licensing to be doing that type of business. Another very dangerous scam is fraudulently recordings on your property. It's literally people steal property by filing false documents with the recorder's office, then taking out loans or selling the property. Most at risk are homeowners who've paid off their mortgages. If you receive documents in the mail that you applied for a loan when you haven't, or you become aware of a recorded document on your property that you don't know anything about. Another important thing is if you don't get your tax bill, you stop getting your tax bill. It's not a dream come true. It means somebody else is paying your taxes, or somebody else diverted your tax information to someone else, and you should really check that out right away. If you receive a notice of default or a trustee sale when you're never late on your mortgage or you don't have a mortgage, that's another thing you should watch out for. Some counties in California, the recorder's office have programs where they'll notify homeowners of documents that have been recorded on the property, but not all. So you should check with your individual county recorder and ask for that service if it's available. Another thing area where scams happen are reverse mortgages. So reverse mortgages are right for some people. The important thing is to make sure you talk to the HUD counselor before you do it. And when you're talking to the HUD counselor, you have to make sure that you're not following advice from the mortgage loan originator, and don't follow a script that they gave you. Don't let them coach you about answers the HUD counselor is going to ask of you. Have someone you trust with you when you're speaking to the counselor. And don't let the loan officer secretly feed you responses to the questions that the HUD counselor is going to ask. The HUD counselor's job is to protect you, and so let them do it. Just let them. Don't immediately trust people that you meet at investment seminars or you see on the radio or TV mailers, advertisements. Sometimes once you're done with a reverse mortgage, they'll want you to buy insurance or annuities with the funds. You might be required to make repairs to the property, and they might want to control the property and the funds. So those are things that you have to worry about with a reverse mortgage. Property management is another area where people often lose money. And it's usually a lot of money and a lot of people, because property managers have many clients. And even the nicest people who you've known for 20 years who've managed your property or maybe managed property for other family members, sometimes temporarily borrow money, and that money's not theirs. It's theft. If they're borrowing your money, even if they replace it, it's still theft. One important thing is security deposits. So if a property manager is holding security deposits for tenants and the property manager takes that money, the property owner is ultimately responsible for security deposits, even if they didn't ever have them. Even if you didn't hold them and the property manager held them and the property manager stole the security deposits, the owner is responsible. One very, very important thing to consider when hiring a property manager is to make sure that your money is in a trust account. And a trust account is notice to everyone, like the IRS, for example, that the money in that account doesn't belong to that person. It's being held in trust for someone else. So for example, if a property manager had some sort of IRS problems and the IRS were going to impound some money from them, they're not going to impound your money because it would be in a trust account. But if it's not in a trust account, they might, thinking that it belongs to the property manager. So this information and a couple of the slides that you're seeing, it's all available on our website. Another area, there's no slide for this, but flippers, wholesalers, assigners. So flippers want to buy your property and sell it to somebody else for more money, preferably, hopefully, after they've made some improvements. They're not going to pay you what your home is worth because they want to make a profit. And so you should watch out for flippers who make full value offers on your property, because during escrow, they're going to drive the price down. They're going to tell you that it needs certain work. It may or may not need the work. And plumbing, for example, you need a new sewer system. And so they want a discount off the price. So again, be wary of full price offers from flippers. Now, wholesalers and assigners, they find you and they get you into a contract, and really they're dealing with that contract. They're not really going to buy your house. They're trying to find somebody else to buy your house, and they're going to make some money off of that. They usually don't have to have any money in it. They might make like an option payment of a few dollars to get under contract and get control of the contract. They're not gonna actually buy anything. Most people don't need them. You don't need these people generally. If you don't want your purchase or sale contract to be assigned by a flipper or a wholesaler, put that in the contract. talk to an agent to have them do it, or talk to an attorney to make sure that your contract isn't assignable. Another area where people can lose money is trust deed investments. You should just contact, if you have the money to invest in trust deeds, you might have the money for legal advice or other professional advice, so that you're not taking the word of whoever is selling that product. So besides actual scams, some things feel like scams. And as background, it's I need to talk about fiduciaries. And fiduciaries are real estate agents. Or real estate agents are fiduciaries, and they have to be trained, faithful, loyal, protective of their clients. They have to have your interests before their own interests. And if your agent's not doing that, you should get another agent. Another area that's legal in California is dual agency. So the agent or agency representing the buyer and the seller in one transaction. It's completely legal, but you don't have to do it. You can have your own agent, and it really, even though it's legal, it doesn't make a lot of sense that you would want somebody who's faithful to you, loyal to you, protective of you, putting their interests ahead of their own interests, being able to do the exact same thing with the other party in the transaction who's in an adverse position to you. It doesn't totally make a lot of sense. So when you can, avoid dual agency. It's an easy way to protect yourself. Another thing that's illegal in California, it might make you feel scammed, is broker controlled escrows. So there are non-independent escrows. And the hint for the title is right, or the hint is for the risk is right in the title, and it's non-independent. An escrow is supposed to be independent. So brokers in California can perform escrows on their own transactions, but you don't have to participate. You can say no. You can say, I want a Department of Financial Protection and Innovation licensed escrow company handling the transaction. So even a worse position in that situation you could be in is dual agency. So you have one agent representing both the buyer and the seller, you being one of those people, and doing the escrow. So it turns into a 3 against 1. You have an agent and an escrow, but in reality, it's you against the buyer, the seller, the agent, and the escrow company. It's legal, but it's not a place where you want to be in a real estate transaction. One other area we get a lot of calls on is homeowners associations. So homeowners associations and homeowners association managers. There is no regulatory agency that regulates them in California. It's civil. It's the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Development Act. So if you have problems with your HOA or your HOA manager, you're going to have to go on your own. You either have to get an attorney who's familiar with the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Development Act to represent you. The California Attorney General does some very, very limited investigations, and they have a list. There are so few that there's a list on the Attorney General's website. You can find that by typing CAAG-HOA into a Google search, and it's the first hit. So again, real estate agents are fiduciaries. Their interest has to be below yours. Another area where people often feel like they've been scammed is exclusive listing agreements. So a listing agreement, when you hire an agent, isn't really a real estate contract. It's employment or a service contract, and you agree to pay that agent or broker if they can sell your property within a specified period of time. It's totally fine. But if there's a problem, you can't just fire them without the agent either wanting to be paid or claiming that you owe them money. So before you enter an exclusive listing agreement, consider the amount of time that you're going to give them to allow them to market your property exclusively. So 3 months is a reasonable thing, I think, and then 6 months is a maybe. But anyone who wants a year or 2 years to market your property, I'm not sure what are they doing. They should be able to do it sooner than that. So check the time period in your exclusive listing agreements and make it a reasonable amount of time. So when this is my fiduciary right here. That's what I think when I think of real estate agents and what they are supposed to, or how they're supposed to behave. Faithful to you, loyal to you, protective of you, putting your interests above their interests. That's what I think of, and I literally do. It makes total sense. Imagine them And that sort of loyalty, that's what they're supposed to be doing. And if they're not, find another agent. What a fiduciary doesn't look like is that. So that is not the fiduciary. Lastly, contact us with any questions you have. We have an email address. You can ask DRE licensing at dre.ca.gov. You can call us. There's a phone menu. It'll usually reroute you to where you live by your zip code. So you get somebody in your area who you can talk to and answer any questions you have. We can look up timeshare companies, licensees. So how can you protect yourself overall? The first thing I think of is they found you. You're not out looking for them. They found you. And just don't do it. If somebody's found you, they want your money. So don't do it. Only hire licensed people and companies when you use real estate services, and then check them out again on our website. Make sure that they're licensed. They may have restrictions on their license that you might want to know about. They might have a disciplinary history that you might want to know about. Don't pay anybody any money ahead of time. So real estate is all done. Everybody gets paid at the end. No one gets paid at the beginning. So if anybody wants money from you before the end of a real estate transaction, it's probably illegal. There are very, very few exceptions. But if somebody wants money, don't give it to them and report them. This is a really big one. Don't sign legal documents on your smartphone. People do it all the time. And the reality is you sign them. So don't sign documents on your smartphone. I was at a car dealership recently, and they had a whole desk that was like 3 feet by 5 feet that was the transaction documents. And that was great. I would love it if all real estate agents did that. They have a big screen where you can see everything. Everybody can see what they're signing, but absolutely don't sign things on your phone. Just it's a really bad idea. You can't read them, so don't sign them. And a lot of the electronic signatures just go straight to the signature line without even letting you read them. So don't do it. Don't sign anything you don't understand, you haven't read, or that contains blank spaces. Another thing is anyone can advertise. There are no rules to advertising. Anyone can. They can claim what they want. Real estate agents and brokers are required to put their license number and first point of contact information on their advertisements. So you can check their name, check their license number right away at the initial contact. And if they don't, we send those people to our cite and fine department. And they get tickets. We issue citations. Don't trust people only because they look or sound professional. That doesn't mean a lot. Make sure you check them out ahead of time. The old, if it sounds good to be true, it probably is. Don't sign power of attorney, giving someone else the right to sell your house or encumber it, borrow money from it, unless you personally know them and trust them. And even then, you should probably have another person, a third person, or an attorney review it ahead of time. You can check title to your home periodically to make sure that there haven't been any recordings on it that you don't know about. And if you suspect that you've been a victim, contact law enforcement, contact the Department of Real Estate, contact the Department of the Department of the DFPI or the Contractor State Licensing Board. We're all here to help. So we need to know about it, and it doesn't help if you don't tell people. It's the very most important thing. So contacting DRE, again, ask DRE licensing at dre.ca.gov. We'll answer anything in about 3 days, so you can call us, and we'll get back to you and let you know, at least superficially over the phone, if it seems like a scam or not do it. And so that's all I have. I guess I'm going to give it back to Kevin.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks.
What a great presentation from Jesse and Sally. And if you have any questions now, please put them in chat and we'll do our best to answer them one by one. Trying to open this chat window. So we did have a question. How do you check the license number given to you by a contractor? So you simply go to www.cslb.ca.gov and click the button, check the license. Let me see if am I even able to share my screen and show you really quick? Because it's pretty easy. Let me see here. So you see, this is our homepage, cslb.ca.gov, and you see this big button right here, license check. You click on that, and then this will come up, and you can search, you can type in the contractor's license number. You can also type in the contractor's business name. You can also type in their name, okay? And then this is for the home improvement salesperson registration number or name. You can check that as well, okay? I don't know if I was sharing properly or not. Let's see, what other questions do we have? So Mark asks, and I think this question is for DFPI, where are these scammers located outside the US? Why are they allowed to continue to prey on US citizens? Sally, you got that one?
All right. Okay, thank you, Mark, for the question. And I'm sure everyone is thinking the same thing. A lot of the scammers are originating from other countries. Even the affinity fraud, I read reports that there's a lot going on with cryptocurrency, all from China as well. But why do they target Americans? Why do they target the US? And I have not read one report that had a definitive answer, but basically because Americans fall for it, right? Americans just tend to use their phone, they're online, they're doing so many things. And then especially our seniors that are a little more vulnerable to some of these scams, they're home, and American senior citizens are, again, very nice. Not like the millennial generation, not like the younger generation. And so, unfortunately, it's a little easier to scam an American senior citizen because they're too nice. They can't say no. They don't want to hang up, and they start building trust, and the scammers know this. So that's the answer I'm going to give you here.
We have a question for Jesse. And Jesse, if this is out of your jurisdiction, you can just say so. Let's see here. Why can't you trace and recover stolen money wired out of the country? Does your department help consumers with unsolicited phone and text calls from real estate companies?
So the first one is, and I've seen these on, especially timeshare scams. You look at the paperwork and it's wired out of the country. I don't think I've ever seen it wired inside of the United States. It's always gone. And what we advise to consumers to do at that point, and then we make the referral as well, is to call the, go to the FBI's website, IC3. I believe it's ic3.org and .gov, but I'm not positive. I can check really quickly. But it's IC3. We refer them to the FBI. It's federal jurisdiction. And again, just like unsolicited phone calls, text messages, that's FTC, do not call list, and we refer them to FTC. Occasionally we'll call and ask nicely to stop. If somebody calls us and says, hey, I'm getting all these messages. Sometimes an investigator who's on duty that day may just call and say, hey, can you remove this person as a courtesy? But it's not our jurisdiction, really. It's the FTC.
Great. And I'm not sure if we have any other questions. Someone asked, can we get a copy of these slides? Senator Min will have this video presentation posted to their website. So everyone who is attending today will be able to go to Senator Min's website and watch a video presentation. As far as my presentation, if you want to email CSLB, email us at social@cslb.ca.gov, and I'd be happy to email you back my slides. I have no problem doing that. Also, if you look, Sally put DFPI's contact information in the chat as well. Jesse, I don't know if you have time, if you can also put Department of Real Estate. Some of the information on your last slide was great with the phone number and the email address. If you can put that in the chat as well. Do we have any other? Norm just put in a question. How do I report a fiduciary for illegal behavior? Is that one for you, Jesse?
So if it's a real estate agent or broker, then yes, it's us. I think that California has, there's actually not an association, there's a professional fiduciary designation in California. It's a state office. I don't know exactly who does it, but that's, I think, more for CPAs, things like that. And I'm not sure, it's not our jurisdiction, but for DRE, it's the easiest way. And what I tell people on the phone is to Google the form number for the complaint, because it's the first hit on a Google search. It's RE519. Just type RE519 and it's the first two hits, actually. The first one is the paper complaint form, and the second hit is the page where you can file an electronic complaint. So when I'm on the phone, that's what I tell people. But really, it's go to the website, dre.ca.gov, and there are drop-down menus that you can select from. You say, I am a, and you choose. And I'm a consumer, I want to file a complaint. And you follow instructions that are on the website. But the easiest, fastest way is Google RE519.
Great. Someone else wrote, Kevin, we need help with that web address. Please share screen. Are you talking about the CSLB website that I was trying to share? Let me try sharing this one more time, because I don't think I did it the right way. Are you guys seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the CSLB homepage. If you want to check a license number, okay, this is back to the earlier question. How do I check a contractor's license number? You're on our homepage, cslb.ca.gov, right? You click this big old button right here, license check. You click that. This window will come up. You can literally type in the contractor's license number right here, and it'll bring you to an individual page showing whether or not the contractor is in fact licensed or not, if their license is active, whether or not they have workers' compensation insurance for employees, if there are any active complaints against that individual contractor. So it is extremely handy to check the license using the license number. Now, if you don't have the license number, you can also check by the contractor's business name or just their name. You can also check by their name right here, first and last name. But if they have a common last name, you're going to get a lot of searches. So it's a lot easier to check by license number. You also have home improvement salesperson number and name. Remember, the home improvement salesperson must be registered with CSLB to actively work for a contractor and help with a contract, help negotiate a contract with you. Okay? Hopefully that helps answer your question. I'm going to try stop sharing now. Do we have any other questions, guys? Any more questions? Jesse put some helpful information in chat. If that is all the questions for today, I want to thank you on behalf of Contractors State License Board. And I want to thank Sally Westlake of Department of Financial Protection and Innovation and Jesse Hafen from the Department of Real Estate, all for joining us on our panel today, and especially Senator Min for partnering with CSLB today on today's presentation. And I also like to thank Contractors State License Board member Miguel Galarza for also joining us as well. Jesse just put some more information in chat. Again, feel free to check out Senator Min's website for a video version of this presentation to get more information. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay educated, protect yourself. You're the biggest weapon against fraud, okay? Be an educated